Good morning, everyone, our honorable guests, members, community partners, and all participants. Great to see you in this Youth Empowerment Workshop, The Role of Youth in ASEAN 2023. Hope all of you are in a good condition. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yandra Sinaga, as one of the members of the Secretary of Indonesia Youth Foundation, and I'll be the MC for today's event. This year's theme is about the importance of youth as the change makers of the world. Are you curious enough? I bet you are. But before I continue, I invite all of you to open up your camera during the whole event. Okay, next up, I will explain a bit of this workshop. It is a dynamic, interactive event designed to inspire, educate, and empower young leaders from across ASEAN region and internationally. You'll have the opportunity to connect with diverse individuals, learn from practitioners, and participate in engaging activities that will help you develop the skills and knowledge you need to make in your community. However, this isn't just any old workshop. The role of youth in ASEAN 2023 focuses on one of the most pressing issues facing our world today: how young people can play a pivotal role in shaping the future of ASEAN. You'll explore the opportunities that youth can procure and the challenges to access them, discover innovative solutions to address them. And this is then just all work and no play. The Youth Empowerment Workshop is also a chance to connect with new friends and have some fun. From team building activities to social events, you'll have a plenty of opportunities to bond with your fellow participants and build lasting relationships that will help you make a difference long after the workshop is over. So, are you ready to ignite your passion for making difference in the world? Let's just dive into the Youth Empowerment Workshop, Role of Youth in ASEAN 2023. Now, without further ado, we'll be watching a video introduction about Indonesian Youth Foundation, which will be shared by our team. And I invite all of you guys to open up your camera. Now, let the video begin. Okay, that was the video, guys. After you have a glimpse of Indonesian Youth Foundation, let's welcome our President of Indonesia Youth Foundation, Cipta Di Akbar. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dinda. Am I audible? All right. Okay. Good morning from Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizer and host of the Youth Empowerment Workshops, the Role of Youth in ASEAN 2023, I'm delighted to greet you all here. As previously stated, the role of youth is becoming increasingly significant because youth is in the society's conditions, social reforms, and social conditions. In most of developing nations, youth participations couldn't be maximized. Today, at this event, we have representatives from at least 15 countries, which means that the discussions today and tomorrow will bring a plethora of ideas and many backgrounds. Indonesia Youth Foundations exists as a non-profit public diplomacy organizations to advance a better understanding of Indonesia and to build friendship with the international community through education, tourism, and youth empowerment. Indonesia Youth Foundations will offer global citizens with broad information about Indonesia. I want to express my gratitude to the speakers, Her Excellencies, Ms. Bibi Zulkifli from the Committee for ASEAN Youth Cooperations, and Ms. Georgia Henderson from the ASEAN-Australia Strategic Youth Partnerships. It's a privilege to have you here. Thank you also to all the participants from 15 nations, and last but not least, to everyone on the committee who helped make this event come true. I wish you all a wonderful 2 days in ROYA 2023 and best wishes. Thank you.
Okay, what a great opening. Thank you, Mr. Ciptadi Akbar. Now we present you to our project leader of ROYA 2023, Livia Liana Sari. You have the stage. I'm sorry, Miss. I suppose that we cannot hear your voice, actually. Still not, Miss. I guess not, Miss. Okay, because of technical issues, let me just continue the session. Now, since the clock is ticking, I will again invite you all to turn on your camera and let's just move on to the next session, which will be guided by our moderator. Please welcome Ms. Hamamuriski.
All right. Thank you so much, Julia, for giving me the opportunity to continue the sessions. So, hello, everyone. Now we are entering the main session of today's agenda. But before we're going to start, let me introduce myself briefly. I am Hama Muriski, and I will be your moderator for today's event. So now we are excited to have you all here with us today as we're going to discuss a very important and relevant topics about youth and ASEAN. In this session, we'll be listening to the speakers' presentations and following with the Q&A at the end of the sessions. Right now, we already have two speakers who will share their incredible knowledge and experiences regarding the field. But before we start, let me introduce them briefly. Okay, so our first speaker is Ms. Bibi Zulkifli. She is now the Executive Secretary for the Committee ASEAN Youth Cooperation. And just for your information, CEYC, or Committee for ASEAN Youth Cooperation, plays a role in establishing a firm foundation for common action to promote regional cooperation and understanding, sense of belonging to ASEAN society, equality and justice among youth and youth organizations in the region. Ms. Bibi Zulkifli already spent 24 years in youth volunteering activities. As she is very passionate about youth development, she is currently an international officer in the Malaysian Youth Council 2012. I saw Ms. Bibi Zulkifli already here. So, hello, Ms. Bibi. Are you here with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Okay, nice to hear that, Miss Bibi. Thank you so much for attending the sessions.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you for inviting.
thank you. Okay, now we're moving to the second speaker. Our second speaker is Miss Georgia Henderson. She is currently the Chief Executive Officer at the ASEAN Australia Strategic Youth Partnership. Besides, in 2022, she was a 2022 New Colombo Plan Scholar for Indonesia through the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and has been named as the cohort's ASEAN Fellow. And she has plenty of achievement in the field of youth and international relations. In addition, just for your information, ASEAN Australia Strategic Youth Partnership is a platform for ASEAN and Australia youth aged 18 to 29 years old to have a voice on complex problems of the region that need to be addressed together. All right. Also saw Miss Georgia here. So hi, Miss
Hi.
Georgia.
Hello, good morning. I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you so much. How are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Glad to know that. Okay, so everyone, throughout this webinar, we will be discussing various aspects of the role of youth in ASEAN, and we encourage you to ask any question you may have. To submit the questions, you can simply type it in the chat box. Don't forget to mention your name and the institution you came from, or you can ask directly to the speaker during the Q&A sessions. And we will do our best to address as many questions as possible during the Q&A sessions. And we kindly ask that you keep your question relevant to the topics and respectful to both our guest speakers and fellow attendees. We strive to create a safe and inclusive environment for all participants. So without further ado, let's get started. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Ms. Bibi Zulkifli, to deliver her presentation about the vision of ASEAN and involvement of youth to the virtual stage. For Ms. Bibi Zulkifli, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, moderator. So since some of the countries it's already noon, some of it's still morning, and I guess most of the participants are from ASEAN. So could you give permission for me to share screen? Have you gave me the permission? Let me double check, sorry. Can I share my screen? Oh, I guess yes, I can share my screen. All right, so let me just hold on. Let me share my screen. All right, so I guess some of you are still using laptop. Some of you might be using computer, handphone, maybe cell phone. Okay, why don't you just go to Mentimeter, use the code 4581258. Can you go to mentimeter.com? So once you get into it, just use this code 4581258. So just share to me, how do you feel today? So before we begin, we talk about ASEAN, we talk about ASEAN youth. I just wanted to know, how do you feel today? Great, yes. Happy. Yay, I feel amazing, very excited, great, great. So at least get to know you guys for a few minutes, just going to spend on this. Most of you guys are great. So how's the weather? Here is very sunny and hot. Amazing. Excited, spectacular. Great, great, great. Great to hear. Oh, some of you couldn't catch the code. Okay, let me see what I can do. Dawn. Great. So let's move to next question. It's happy to hear that everybody is in great condition. It's good and so on. Okay. Right. Okay. Sorry, because I'm handling my Mentimeter by my own. Okay, let's move to the next question. A simple one before we go to the other one. So, wow, got 36, 37 people. Get ready for the next one. Next slide. What do you think about youth today? What do you think you can do? Your guys are super cool. What do you think about you? Maybe what about you think your role you can be? You guys creative, insightful, very nice, making new development, lots of fresh ideas. Yes, young people have like super great ideas, right? Creative, exactly. I agree with that. Proactive, making small contribution, as long as name it contribution, you can contribute as not just small, you can contribute big, up to you. Independent, powerful, innovative, smart, energetic, ability to express. That's good. Innovative, what else? Enthusiastic, change maker, exactly. Because you guys are the leaders for tomorrow, because yeah, who else going to lead the planet? All right, nice to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for participating and sharing your ideas or your thoughts on what do you think about youth today? All right, so let me go straight, sharing my a little bit of background on CEYC. Let me share the screen. Sorry, I couldn't share this earlier to everyone. So yeah, this is a little bit on CEYC. What is Committee for ASEAN Youth Cooperation? What we do. So this is a very short one. So we established in 1975, and we're part of the ASEAN officially in 1981. And we are part of the ASEAN entities when ASEAN create ASEAN Charter. So CEYC is the youth organization or UCASO in ASEAN Charter. And we promote ASEAN society, equality, justice, and youth organization. That we are part of the youth organizations, all the ASEAN youth organization in ASEAN. So our affiliates is actually 10, but still total the connection is still the 8 official affiliates, which is Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Indonesia, Brunei, Cambodia, and Philippines, and another 2 states, which is Myanmar and Laos, are the ministry. And we are working together with the UN agencies, the ministries of youth in ASEAN member states, and all other regional youth organization, which is WEI, OIC, Commonwealth, and Asia Youth Council. So this is like our best buddies when we are creating or having our activities or programs. So our main focus is advocacy, leadership, education, entrepreneurship, and volunteerism. So that is our core focus in CEYC. Now, when we talk about role, youth role in CEYC, some of the organization are youth-led because our members are the national youth councils from each ASEAN member state. So some of the councils are youth-led, some of it are not, but they are focusing on youth. By the way, the average youth age in ASEAN, we are using the term 15 to 35, if I'm not mistaken. It's under 35 because some of the member states are under 25, some of it 30, some of it 35, and some of it under 40. So we don't really have like one age which is fits all countries. Okay, same goes with the United Nations, under 29. But different organization under UN have different age group, like WHO considered youth as under 35. So this is the role what we, part of CEYC, participate in. And for your information, the members of CEYC or the leaders from the National Youth Council will participate in the regional meetings, or maybe in the roadmap, drafting declaration for ASEAN. So we do have this opportunity to be part of, or having youth to be part within, to form anything in ASEAN, to form a work plan, to build up a roadmap. The latest roadmap that CEYC participate in is in human resource. That is specific for the young people, focusing on human resource that is for future job within ASEAN. So this is how we work. We've got CEYC, the entities, the ASEAN entities, the regional youth entities, and also government agencies. And the other side is the ministries. So we are like bridging the network or agency. At the same time, we are bridging the youth themselves to this particular agencies or communities. So this is how actually we work in ASEAN. So this is a little bit about how CEYC work. And for your information, youth role, you as youth, young people have so many chances to share on or to participate, to be part of anything in the, especially after COVID. So you can be part of the climate change, especially. So that is the current focus in CEYC, climate change, other than youth empowerment. So if you want to be part of this, you can you can work actually not just individual, but you also can be part of the group, or maybe to be part of any organization. So you don't have to worry. There are so many platforms for you to catch the opportunities other than CEYC. Maybe you can go to our website and so on to participate. So there are more opportunities out there. You just need to be alert or to be creative to search on the platform, because some of the young people, most of those who I met before were mentioning they don't have any opportunities to be part, to voice, especially to voice out. So for me, I couldn't say this is not true. It's like both, depending on which country you are in and how actually you spend time yourself to search on the opportunities. So let me also share to you what are the current focus in ASEAN. This is a little bit boring because this is like, but this is the fact. what is ASEAN been doing right now for youth. So if you can go, let me share you a link. Actually, everybody can download this. So I will also share to you this link. I will also share later the link in the chat box, and about ASEAN Work Plan, which is the ASEAN Youth Work Plan. So this ASEAN Youth Work Plan is being designed. Actually, it's since 2000 and oh, I missed the web page. Sorry, start missing. I give you the link in the chat box, so you can download the ASEAN Youth Work Plan. This is current focus, especially on youth. The Youth Work Plan started from 2015, the ASEAN Youth Work Plan. So this is not something new. And this is the second work plan within ASEAN. So if you are having programs or activities or you want to focus on, so this is the best medium for your reference. Okay, so as you can see, let me share to you, these are the priority areas that the ASEAN ministries, all the ASEAN ministries and the youth entities in ASEAN is focused on. These are the main one, which is within this 5 years of work plan, we're focusing on education, health and well-being, employment and opportunities, participation, engagement, and ASEAN awareness, values, and identities. So as you can see, these are the main priority areas. You don't have to worry, you can download this, you can keep it as your reference. So after we have this meeting, and some of the priorities area we pick up from the previous work plan because they are relevant for continuation. As you can see here, this is very specific. What are the outputs or the focus on? So as I guess the audience today, the youth today are from ASEAN member states. So as you can see, there are a lot of opportunities for you to participate in ASEAN. So not just programs, not just youth exchange, but they are also roundtable discussion, conferences, and there are also competition actually for you to be part of the work plan itself. So as you can see, these are some of the programs are already done, but most of it are still ongoing due to COVID-19, due to the pandemic. So most of it we carry out starting from 2023, and we try to squeeze everything within until 2025. So I guess I'm not going to share a lot today. I was hoping more question instead of I'm sharing. So I will stop until here. So I'll be taking any question if you have any, maybe after the second panelist or maybe straight away during my session. Thank you so much. That is a little bit about ASEAN.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Bibi Zulkifli, for your presentations. And okay, for those who have questions, you can ask after the second session from Ms. Georgia, but let me briefly summarize what have been delivered by Ms. Bibi. So Ms. Bibi started with elaborating more about the CEYC itself. And I highlight the sentence that Ms. Bibi said about many youth say that they don't have platform, but actually we have a lot of platform of youth that the youth can join. But the youth itself have to be active and proactive in searching for that. So for all the attend this here. Like if you want to join the youth organization, please be proactive and look for the youth organization around you, and you can join to make an impact. And then Ms. Bibi also mentioned about the ASEAN work plan, and I think we can also, did you send the link, Miss? Have you sent the link for that?
Yes, I did share the link in the chat box. So yeah, you can download it as your reference for upcoming programs or anything as your reference.
Okay, so for those the attendees, you can download it and read it. And if you have a question, you can ask after the second session. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so thank you so much, Miss Bibi. We'll come back to you after the second session. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're moving to our second speaker, Ms. Georgia Henderson from ASEAN Australia Strategic Youth Partnership. So without further ado, please welcome Ms. Georgia Henderson to deliver her presentation entitled Regional Activities for Youth to Partake in and its Benefit for. So for Ms. Georgia Henderson, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen quickly. Sorry. One moment. Can you see that as full screen now? Okay, fantastic. All right, well, selamat siang semua, or good morning, everyone. My name is Georgia, and I'm the current Chief Executive Officer of the ASEAN Australia Strategic Youth Partnership, but you can call us ASEP. So first, a big thank you to the IOA committee for inviting me to speak with you all today, and for organising such a fantastic event on a really important topic. I know I've gotten a lot out of it so far, and I'm sure the rest of the event will be fantastic. So I hope I can give some insights to you all today. Thank you very much as well, Ms. Bibi, for your insightful presentation before as well. I really enjoyed learning more about the activities. It's so exciting to see so many passionate young people here today. I'm ready to learn about how you can make an impact in ASEAN. I want to preface my presentation by affirming that as a young person, you truly have the power to make impact, and I want you to keep this in mind through my presentation. So, I wanted to start today by giving a bit of an overview of my volunteering experience and provide some insight on how volunteering has changed my life. So the first time I can remember volunteering was when I was around 10 years old, when I made a little shop at my school selling things with my friends, and we basically raised money for an animal welfare organisation called the RSPCA. Now, the products weren't very good, but we were able to raise a bit of money to donate, and importantly, it got me and my friends involved in the cause and allowed us a platform to learn more. Through high school, I got further involved in volunteering, and I was really lucky to go to a school that made a lot of volunteering opportunities available. I was able to volunteer across a range of things, from sports coaching to helping out at events, festivals, and more. And in university, this was a really important thing to continue when I started. So I deepened this engagement mainly through volunteering with an organisation called Teach, Learn, Grow. In Australia, there's a big divide between the educational outcomes and experiences of children in cities and in regional or rural areas. And Teach, Learn, Grow as an organisation works to bridge this gap. And then eventually in 2020, at the end of the year, I found ASEP through participation in one of their programs called the Indo-Pacific Future Leaders Program. Through this program, I saw the quality of programs that ASEP delivers and felt the real impact of the organization's work on me personally, and I knew I wanted to be part of it. So I joined ASEP in mid-2021 as the Chief Community Officer, overseeing the community or memberships, alumni, and people and culture teams, so I can provide a bit of a people and culture perspective on volunteering later today if anyone has any questions. And I've just recently stepped into the Chief Executive Officer role in the last couple of months. And I'll go through a couple of reasons why I've stuck around so long in ASIP. But first, to zoom out a bit, why volunteer and why volunteer on the international stage? So firstly, and most importantly, I think, is impact. Impact is why, even as a 10-year-old, I wanted to volunteer. Volunteering gives you a means to have real, tangible impact on causes you care about. And it's often really practical, so you can feel or see your impact day to day. It's a way to tackle the issues that you see as most important in society by actually feeling like you can do something and actually doing something, rather than just needing to feel helpless or just leave your passions inside. But there are also endless other benefits of volunteering. Importantly, and this is something that's big in ASIP, is it can often give you opportunities to do things that you would never have the opportunity to do in a paid job at our age. This is especially so as a young person volunteering. This is especially so as a young person volunteering, where you may have the opportunity to lead entire projects or whole organizations, something that's generally reserved for people with many years of experience in for-profit organizations. In my time at ASIP, I've certainly had this experience, having been able to work with some really senior stakeholders and partners that I would never have otherwise have had the opportunity to do if I was doing this in a paid capacity. Volunteering also provides you a really fantastic opportunity to make new friends. By its nature, volunteering brings together like-minded people who care about social impact and who care about the same issues as you do. International volunteering is particularly exciting in this sense. It gives you the opportunity to meet people who you would never otherwise meet, often online, and you already have that baseline shared interest. So for example, volunteers at ASIP often say that they could land in any city in Southeast Asia or in Australia and have instant friends that they've either worked through ASIP, or they just know that they're all part of ASIP as an organization. And I've certainly personally experienced this, having met ASIP friends in Canberra, in Australia, in Jakarta, in Yogyakarta, in Salatiga even, in Singapore and more. So on a similar note, volunteering also gives you the opportunity to make professional connections. So when volunteering, you have this really unique opportunity to connect with a hugely diverse range of people who have similar interests to you. So even in a youth org, you often have the opportunity, as I mentioned, to have contact with people many years into their career. Or for example, if you're working in a general organization that's not specifically youth focused, you'll often work with people at all stages of their career, in all stages of life. I can personally attest to having gained some invaluable mentors and networks from my time at ASIP. And I'm sure many other organizations, I know this is a big thing that they focus on, to try and give back to their volunteers as well and make sure they're getting as much out of it as they can. Another big thing is learning on two levels. So firstly, going back to what I said earlier about having the opportunity to do things you wouldn't otherwise in a professional career, this gives you a huge opportunity to learn new skills. So volunteering is often very challenging, and often as a young person volunteering in the organization, you're working out things that maybe none of you know how to do necessarily, but you're working with stakeholders, or you're just putting your minds together to work out how to get through issues or tough problems. But through that challenge, it really gives you a unique chance to learn more than you might have otherwise in an entry-level role. And secondly, it gives you an opportunity to learn more about an issue that you're passionate about firsthand. So for example, when I volunteered with Teach, Learn, Go, we actually went into rural communities and got to help out with teaching and tutoring. Through this, I witnessed firsthand the impact that educational inequality was having in rural and remote Western Australia. And through my time at ASIP, I can certainly see things like understanding the huge impact that young people have in ASEAN and ASEAN's motivation to engage with young people to shape the region's future. Seeing the cause that you're passionate about in action provides such a tangible and valuable understanding of how it really looks and how it's experienced in real life, which often affirms the work that you are doing is important, but also provides an important backdrop as perhaps you go into less hands-on jobs in the future. And then finally is building experience. And though I would say it's probably not most people's primary motivation, volunteering is a really fantastic way to build experience in a particular field that can help you get paid roles on graduation. So it's a great way to prove your long-standing commitment to a cause and a place to provide examples of your soft and hard skills for future employers, and prove as well that you're able to get work done and you have a strong work ethic. So for example, perhaps if you're working in an ASEAN-focused youth organisation, it provides a really good platform when you then go to apply to jobs after graduation to show that you understand ASEAN, to show that you're committed to ASEAN, and that you actually have tangible experience in the space. So on to volunteering in the context of ASIP. But first, what actually is ASIP? So the ASEAN-Australia Strategic Youth Partnership empowers young people aged 18 to 29 years from across ASEAN and Australia to engage with each other and engage with the most pressing issues of today. We work to build young people's expertise and engagement with ASEAN-Australia affairs and provide tangible opportunities for young people to engage in promoting peace and prosperity across the relationship. Using our platform, we build knowledge, inspire engagement, and create connections to give young people a voice on the complex regional issues that need to be solved together and need to be solved with the input of youth. So a few of the practical ways that we do this, beyond our engagement with our volunteer group, is our publicly delivered programs. So the biggest logo there is our flagship program, the ASEAN Australia Young Leaders Forum, which we run every year now, and very excitingly is returning in person this year for the first time since before COVID. So the ASEAN Australia Young Leaders Forum, or ALIF, brings together 45 young leaders to provide capacity development and a space for creating connections and networking opportunities on a topical issue in the region. So this year our theme is smart cities. As I mentioned, we'll be running our forum in Kuala Lumpur this month, in just over a month. And although applications have closed for this year, this is something that we run annually. So it's totally something that you can look to get involved in. About in probably April, March or April next year, we'll reopen applications. There's also a range of programs that we've run previously. So our Break the Chain program was an online capacity development and dialogue program that looked at how young people can collaborate and build knowledge and influence policy on modern slavery, human trafficking, and forced labor in our region. There was also the Indo-Pacific Future Leaders program that was the one I participated in. So that was specifically in Perth in Western Australia. And that provided capacity development around the Indo-Pacific region more broadly, and provided us the opportunity, for example, to participate in policy pitches, and also provided seminars and culminated in like a weekend-long program. There's also ASIP Reset, which is a program we've run a few times, and that was a hackathon designed around solving a pressing policy issue. And we had, I believe, around 500 signups from young people around the region who then participated in this hackathon online. And then finally, we have, well, not finally, we do have quite a few more, but we also had our ASIP Spark program, which was bringing together leaders in different areas of volunteering or engagement in the region to provide online modules. And they're still available via our website if you're ever interested. Beyond this, we also have one-off events or short series that are entirely open to the public. So generally these programs on screen are all programs that are application based, and they can be quite selective. But yeah, so we do have those completely public open events that anyone at all is allowed to attend, and they're entirely free to attend online as well. And of course, we also are always looking to develop new programs. So do keep an eye out on our social medias, and I'll share them in a moment. So next on to how you can get involved in ASIP. So this may be a biased opinion, but I personally think ASIP is one of the best places to get involved with international volunteering or international capacity development programs, particularly in the ASEAN space. So in addition to following us on our website, there are 3 key ways you can get involved. So first, you can join as a member. via our website. So by joining as a member, you'll get access to a newsletter, as well as some exclusive opportunities, and you'll also be providing tangible support to ASIP to be able to continue with our programs and continue making it as accessible as possible to young people. Second is to apply for and join a program. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, we do have heaps of programs. Unfortunately, none of them are open for applications currently. But again, do follow us on our social media to see when these opportunities are advertised. And then finally is to join as a volunteer. At our last recruitment round, we had around 100 volunteers who represented every single ASEAN member state, as well as at least volunteers from at least 5 capital cities in Australia. Again, we don't have any volunteering opportunities currently advertised, although we're expecting to open them in the next month or two. So certainly keep an eye on our social media. Just a quick note that to be eligible for our programs or to join our team as a volunteer, you need to be over 18 and you need to either be a citizen of or a resident of an ASEAN member state or Australia. But certainly to become a member or to join any of our online events, you don't need to fit that eligibility criteria. You can be anyone of any age from any country. But why get involved in ASIP as a volunteer? So importantly, as I mentioned before, it does really give you an opportunity to have a tangible impact on the future prosperity of our region. We also try to give as many benefits as possible to our volunteers, whether that be things like access to Canva Premium or the opportunity to network with stakeholders in their field of interest, or just opportunities for regular social connection through our internal social events. You'll also have the opportunity to learn about key issues in ASEAN, and also importantly, how ASEAN works with dialogue partners like Australia. And finally, ASIP is full of some truly fantastic people. I've made some really lovely friends from ASIP, and I know that everyone I work with has been fantastic, and I thoroughly enjoy every day because of the people I work with. There's a reason I've stuck around ASIP for the last few years, or so many reasons actually, and I couldn't recommend getting involved enough. As I mentioned, in the meantime, while you look for opportunities, my best advice is to follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And before I go on to my final slide, I'll just give a minute if anyone wants to follow us on our socials while they're on screen, and I'll just send through some links in the chat box as well. Okay, I'll go on to my next slide, but if anyone can't find those links, just let me know and I can send them through. So my final slide, in kind of anticipation of your challenge that you're participating in tomorrow, I was asked to speak about some of the barriers to participation in volunteering, because it is important to acknowledge that being able to volunteer is a privilege and that there are things that young people need to overcome to be able to engage in opportunities. So importantly, one is time. So some people simply don't have the time for volunteering. And importantly, if you want to, if you are volunteering and if you do get a role, it's really important to be able to commit fully to the role that you've signed up for, so you can make that impact that you want to, and also so you're not feeling overwhelmed or like you're unable to do what you really want. And sometimes that's simply not possible with work commitments or university commitments. I did an exchange semester at UGM last year, and I know how many hours a week university in Indonesia takes up, and I'm sure it's the same in other countries. So yeah, sometimes commitments mean it simply isn't possible. Another is accessibility. So for example, often online volunteering or international volunteering requires internet access, which can be quite difficult, and a range of other issues with accessibility as well. Competition, sometimes it can be really competitive to get volunteering opportunities, especially international. My advice on that front would just be work to build your experience in areas you're passionate about as much as you can. So keep looking for opportunities and there will be something out there. And then finally is motivation and benefits. Of course, you know, people genuinely care about the causes you're volunteering with, but it's also important that organizations give benefit to their volunteers as well, because at the end of the day, you should be getting something out of it too, whether that's feeling like you're making an impact and seeing that tangible impact, or things like making connections, making friends. And these are all things we try to actively work to overcome at ASIP. So for example, by doing things like making sure we have specific and outlined benefits for our volunteers, making sure we make it as accessible as possible and those kind of things. But of course, there's always room to improve, and I look forward to hearing what you all come up with tomorrow. So that's me finished. Terima kasih banyak, or thank you very much for listening to me today. And I look forward to hearing your questions. And again, a huge thank you to IYF as the fantastic organizers of this event.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Georgie Henderson, for delivering a very insightful presentation. It was really fascinating, and we learned a lot, definitely. So before we're going to the Q&A session, I will just briefly summarize the takeaways that I got from Miss Georgia. Okay, so the first one, Ms. Georgia started with the volunteering benefits, such as the impact, the experience, the learning, the connection that we can get from joining the activities. And then Ms. Georgia also elaborating about the ASEAN-Australia Strategic Youth Partnership that has a lot of programs the youth can join and over a bunch of benefits. And then also Ms. Georgia already shared the links of the social media that the youth can explore. So for the participant, you can explore from the link that already shared by Ms. Georgia. And then one more thing that shared by Ms. Georgia is the barriers to volunteering, such as the time, the accessibility, competitions, and building experience, and then motivation and benefits. So thank you so much for sharing this insightful presentation, Ms. Georgia. And then now it's Q&A time, everyone. Okay, so for those of you who have questions, kindly raise your hand and don't forget to mention your name and the institution you came from, and then you can ask away your question directly to the speaker. So now we are waiting for the questions. Oh, I think we have one question in the chat box. Or if you are feeling shy of asking the question directly to the speaker, you can also chat it in the chat box. Okay, everyone? Okay, so now I think we can start from the question that already there in the chat box. Wait, let me check it. Okay, there's a question from Shafarudin Marpaung from Indonesia. And he has 3 questions basically. So let me read this first for Ms. Georgia and Ms. Bibi Zulkifli. So the first question is, what are some examples of regional activities that are beneficial for youth to participate in, and how do they contribute to personal growth and development? And then the second one, how can regional activities help promote teamwork, leadership, and other important social skills among youth? And the third one, in what ways can regional activities provide opportunities for youth to engage with their local communities and become active citizens? So I think Miss Bibi or Miss Georgia can answer it first, and then, yeah, who will start?
Yeah, I can answer some of the questions. So examples. Some examples, activities that beneficial youth to participate. All right, so this is how to, let me see what I can have here. Okay. When we talk about youth, let me share my screen. Here is a little bit how you actually can participate. Okay. This is what we do, some of our activities. I just take one key focus, which is peace and security. So I guess that is very relevant and which is relates to everyone to have peace Okay, so this is a few of our activities, and let me share. Also, we have like some of the international online session, roundtable discussion, even online, because after COVID, we have so much of the activities being done online. We also have some creative parts, okay? Like making posters, we do collective Canva together. This is together CEYC, the Malaysian Youth Council, together with the UNICEF. We do it last year during Girls' Day, International Girls' Day. So how actually this youth and peace can, this is one of the topic that I chose previously to focus on, but how can you participate and how actually you can grow by participating in youth peace. Now, you as youth and young people, we go back to your roles, okay? Because there are like 1.2 billion young people in the world. That is a very huge number, which is aged between 15 to 24. So by joining, let's say, the regional youth activities, what you can do after that for your personal growth, especially. Now, the important role, you or youth or anyone actually, you can be a social change, making social change or social progress for yourself or maybe your community or maybe the whole regional or maybe throughout the world. So right after any program, or you don't have to participate any program, maybe you have any ideas by looking at surround whatever that is around you. There are some issues you can actually pick up that's happening around you. So maybe you can play the role as community leaders. If you think being community leaders is like quite challenging or too much, you can go for smaller efforts like being community leaders is also part of volunteering, depending whether you've been paid or not. So, and maybe you can be a mentor after you join or maybe participate for personal growth development, especially. So maybe you can be mentor to help others, or you can choose to be educators. So this is like 4 kind of roles you yourself can contribute, whether you after joining activities or without joining activities. It's like a self-effort, right? Same goes right, Georgia just now mentioned like how actually she, get into volunteering by the age of 10. So it's like a self-motivation actually, or self-interest. So it's a passion within you because we cannot force you to do so. So by having these 4 tips, whether you want to be the community leader, you want to be volunteer, or you want to be educator, or maybe you want to be mentor. So that is actually can help you out a little bit contributing for your community or the regional. At the same time, actually, this one long answer will share like number 1 and 2 question, I guess. So that is a little bit for me. Other than that, by the way, since Georgia mentioned about how actually she got involved in this, so I myself start with Girl Guide. So we do a lot of campings. When I was 15, I went into this indigenous village. So I was quite shocked in my own country, Malaysia. We go so far deep in the village, up north of Malaysia. And I was quite shocked when I was 15. I have all these technologies and development in Kuala Lumpur, and you still have this kind of group of people that don't have anything in Malaysia. So I felt like, oh, this cannot be. You're Malaysian, I am Malaysian, so we should have the same equal education. They do have basic education, but why don't you get opportunities like me, better books, or maybe better teachers. So starting from there, I start contribute myself doing volunteering work, and I quit my job as architect, and currently I'm doing youth as I'm working as youth worker. So I guess it's like that might be my ambition, but my passion became my career right now. So that is a little bit that I can share from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Phoebe Zulkifli, for sharing. And then I would like to give it for Miss Georgia. You can answer the questions.
Great, thank you. And thank you very much, Miss Phoebe, as well. I agree with those comments. I think a big way that volunteering can contribute to your personal growth and development is by putting you out of your comfort zone. As I mentioned, a lot of the time when you're volunteering, you'll be working on things that you've never done before, maybe no one in the team has ever done before. And that kind of challenge and that difficulty gives you a really good space to develop and grow as a person. And importantly, when you have a supportive team and when you have great people that you work with, it can be super rewarding to come together and work really hard together to then achieve those really great outcomes. And proves to you that you have the capability to do things like that when you put your mind to it as well. As well, in terms of promoting teamwork, leadership, and important social skills, particularly international volunteering can teach you a lot about other cultures, but a lot about your own culture and yourself as a person as well, which helps provide a really good way to approach your work with a lens of self-awareness and a lens of working in diversity and the really exciting things that can come with that. And I think that's a fantastic place to form those teamwork and leadership skills that you naturally work on day-to-day volunteering, and also that you get to see modeled from some other really fantastic young people. And it's a great way to pick up on those skills from people around you. And then in terms of ways that those regional activities can provide opportunities to engage with local communities, I think a big part of it is number one, providing you with that confidence that you can execute things and you do have the skills. And then number two, providing you with those skills themselves. So again, the teamwork, the leadership, even the ability to project manage and execute things and understand how, maybe even things like how you write a concept note or things like that you can then use back in your local communities to make impact. And then finally, providing you with a really good network of mentors, of people, even if they're not within your local community, people you can bounce ideas off or ask for advice, and that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Georgia, for answering. So I hope it answered the shareholding Arpang questions. Now we are moving to the next questions. Like I see plenty of hand raised already, and we'll go for Fan Srikarin. I hope I pronounce it right. So don't forget to mention your name and your institution you came from. So for Fan, ask away your questions.
Thank you so much. So my name is Fern, and I'm currently not a student anymore. I work full time, and I have a question for Miss Georgia. I was wondering, could you give us some examples of the projects that you've done in the past few years that you've been in the role that you could really see like tangible impacts on people's life in ASEAN countries? And thank you.
Great, thanks for the question, Fern. I think, so as I mentioned, I primarily worked in the last couple of years on internal and then also memberships and alumni. So one big thing for ASEP as an organisation is obviously the cohorts that we engage with are important young leaders in our region, but so are our volunteers. They're people who are engaged to motivate with the region, who understand the importance of being involved. So as an organisation, something that's a big priority for us is helping those young people to stay involved and to build their impact in ASEAN. So something I've been able to see kind of the tangible impact in is, I guess on the small scale, we run things like professional development events where we connect our volunteers with members of our board or members of the community who are able to provide mentoring on specific topics and that kind of thing. And then a flow-on impact we see of that, and we see of young people's engagement with ASIP, is then going on to work in roles where they influence ASIP, or sorry, where they influence ASEAN-Australia relations, or where they think about ASEAN in their day-to-day work, where they bring that lens along with them. Yeah, so I guess like my role has been kind of more that broad impact. But of course, from being on the executive team, I've seen the really great impact that some of our programs have had as well. So how the testimonials we get, for example, from young people who participated after and reflect really high ratings of how their skills have improved, or how their knowledge of ASEAN-Australia relations have improved over the course of the programs. And then we do things like we re-engage with our alumni at later points in time and ask them to reflect on how their participation on program has impacted them and impacted how they're able to work in their future career. And yeah, we've had some really fantastic kind of feedback, which is really rewarding.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Fern, for asking the questions. And now we have so many questions in the chat box actually. So I'll read it. We'll answer it one by one, everyone. So wait, let me check it. So the second question I found in the chat box is from Unesa Hasan Abdul Bar. So Hasan from Surabaya asked a question regarding the contribution of ASYP to the development of and growth of youth in ASEAN and Australia. How does ASYP specifically play a role in fostering the advancement and nurturing the potential of young people in both regions? So I guess it is addressed to Miss Georgia. So for Miss Georgia, the time is yours.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. I can see there's a lot of questions coming in, so I'll kind of try and keep it short. But yeah, on a couple of fronts. So as I mentioned, ASIP tries to nurture our volunteers and nurture their impact, but also through our specific programs, lots of them are aimed at education and capacity development. So for example, in our upcoming forum, we'll run sessions on things like policy development, we'll run a crisis simulation, and those kind of really tangible soft skills. And then we'll also look at providing education and upskilling on emerging issues in our region. So that might be things like the future of Islamic finance in the region, or that might be things like looking at the evolution of design and creating smart cities in the future, or looking at how technology plays in a role in that, or the role of international organizations. So yeah, certainly, I guess in the aim of our programs, they're a lot about nurturing the potential of young people and kind of fostering those skills that they can then use to go on and make impact, and providing a lens for them to do so.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Georgia, for answering the question. So we'll go the questions again in the chat box. Wait, let me check it first. There's a lot of questions actually. Okay, so there's a questions from Thea Panagas. I don't know whether I pronounce it correct or not, but okay, so from the Philippines, the question is addressed for both of the speaker. The question is related to the impact of youth involvement. So the question is, how effective is the ASEAN Youth Work Plan framework? Oh, I guess this is for Ms. PB. Okay, ASEAN Youth Work Plan framework in guiding the youth and their organization in creating an impact on local and international issues or decisions. Is there a way to track the success of youth-led organization? I understand that tracking success is difficult, but I was curious to know if there's a way to do so. Thank you. But I think this can be answered by both of speakers. So yeah, I will let Ms. Bibi to answer it.
Impact of youth involvement in the ASEAN Youth Work Plan framework guiding the youth. Okay. Now, actually, the ASEAN Youth Work Plan, it's not just meant for one country to realize it. Okay, this is like together, because how actually the main focus that they already in line, the 5 main focus, how actually they choose based on the similarity of the current issues. So that's why these 5 issues being highlighted, especially on mental health. So this is actually this plan is actually, we planned it before COVID actually happened. This is so concerned because by looking at the data from each member states on, especially on depression or any statistic related to the not healthy part of the mental health. So this is the right time for us to focus on mental health and the other parts, especially on education. So as I mentioned to you just now, the work plan is actually a guideline. It's not a must, but it's actually a main guideline for everyone. What is the best to focus on? And now what left is for the member states or the ministries, which is because youth are across all ministries. It's not just specific for youth and sports or whatever the ministry in your country, because some of the countries the youth is under education, the Department of Youth. So it's actually depends on the country itself, how they want to achieve or to ensure the work plan is successful. And at the same time, the decision for regional, yes, we do it together so we can give the regional impact. But for the local, especially the rural part of each country, this actually depends on the country efforts. So how actually they want to do to make it success. Like for us in the regional, we will work together with relevant parties. For instance, for youth, if there are any activities or relevant that we must reach grassroots level. So me, myself, for instance, I will make use of our network, which is the National Youth Council, because each National Youth Council, they have up to the district council level. So it's not just the country, but we go deep into the grassroots. For any activities or maybe studies, we're collecting data and so on. So whatever that we do, we make sure it is reached up to the grassroots level, but depending on which topic that we are focusing on or helping out to achieve the work plan. So to track on success, it's very hard to track on success because each organization have their own focus. So, and what are the main activities are? There are few organizations just focus on youth exchange only. Like us, we're focusing like mostly everything, but our main are more on policy, on regional side. If we're talking about regional side, the fun part for youth will be exchange. Conference can be fun too, depending on topic and how actually we bring it up or discuss together. But at the same time, we also focus more on something formal, which is drafting resolution, doing all this policy making, even making up work plans and so on. So I couldn't say it's boring, but it is important, that part. So yeah, we do both. So tracking success depending on what are you focusing on. Because most of the organization depends, some of it like have their own backbone, like us is the ASEAN Secretariat and the government of ASEAN, the member states. Some organizations are actually under United Nations and some of it are standalone. So depends on your collaborating partners or who actually you're looking at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Bibi Zulkifli. For Ms. Churchill, do you have anything to add regarding the questions, like how the SYP on doing that?
Yeah, I won't add anything major. I think Ms. Bibi has covered it very comprehensively, but I would say from an organization perspective, one way we track our impact is just making sure that we do things like we ask how volunteers feel about ASEAN-Australia relations, or how they feel about their skills before and also after programs, so we can understand the change over time. And I think that's, for anyone who's involved with youth orgs or might be involved in the future, is a really important part, is trying to measure impact. It's a great way to reflect on how you're doing as an organization and reflect on what activities you prioritize, but also a really great way to prove to your partners that it is worth their time in engaging with you, and that particularly when you're looking for funding and things like that, it's important to have that kind of hard data that says that you're having an impact and says what you're doing is important.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Georgia and Ms. Bibi, for answering the question. So I hope it answered the question that asked by, I forget the name, but I know she's from Philippines. Okay, so we move on to the next questions. There's hand raised by Sofia Nurul Husna from UIN Yogyakarta. So you can ask away your questions. Don't forget to mention your name.
Kalau misal
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. Hello everyone, I'm Sofia Nurul Husna from Indonesia. I think this is so interesting discussion because it is about youth generation and for sustainable development goals. And I have question for Ms. Georgia and Mr. People about how to raise awareness of the younger generation to be more empowered, because I believe that, because I trust that this young generation is the hope for the future, especially for realizing the sustainable development goals. I think enough. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so I guess the speaker can answer the question from Sophia. Who would like to start? Okay, I think, yeah, sure.
Can I just check quickly? Sorry, I couldn't quite hear, but was the question how we can raise awareness of our organization's work? Is that correct?
Yes, it's about how to raise awareness of the younger generation to be more empowered, and especially for realizing the sustainable development goals.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I think in terms of raising awareness, it's about making sure that we have really good public engagement. So raising that public awareness through like kind of innovative marketing ways. Marketing is certainly not my area of expertise, but we have some really fantastic marketing volunteers at ASEAN who handle that and who I have to ask lots of questions of. But yeah, I'd say a big focus for all youth organizations, it's actually carrying out the programs, but it's making sure that people know about those programs, that people know how they relate to priorities, so whether that's sustainable development goals or priorities for particular partners or things like that. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, Miss Bibi, you can answer the questions.
Yeah, for SDGs especially, back then there was like MDG, Millennium Development Goal. So SDG is another enhanced state from MDG, and they changed to SDG. So this issue actually is being picked up. As you can see, all the goals are very general. So I guess it's not so hard for anyone to achieve one of the goals, because it's a very general statement. So the goal, how actually they list out the goal to ensure that most of us can participate. It doesn't have to achieve all, but maybe you can choose one or two. Like today's program, maybe it's going to be under partnership, which is still part of the SDG goal. So whatever that we do actually towards our daily life is related to SDG actually. So it's up to you how actually you understand it, the whole concept of the SDG. So I don't say it is so hard. It's quite easy actually to relate whatever that you do to SDG even whatever that you've been going on, especially when during your studies, there are more SDGs happening around you in the university. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Bibi and Miss Georgia for the answers. Maybe I will take over for a moment, and we can continue to Amu, Arfa, Arshad. You can give your question now.
Hi, I'm Arfa. I'm a student at AMU. Actually, I've already mentioned a lot of my questions in the chat box.
Oh, yes, Arfa. You can actually read it again and just give your questions.
Sure. So one of my questions was, I'll just read it out again. Oh yeah, as a volunteer, since you have a lot of experience as a volunteer. So have you ever faced any difficulty while volunteering? And if yes, how have you been able to overcome them?
Okay, thank you, Arfa. Maybe Miss Bibi or Miss Georgia can answer first.
I'm happy to start. Yeah, totally. Like volunteering can be really challenging. There's a lot of different challenges that come up. As I mentioned, whether that be doing work that you don't quite know how to do. A big thing is just having enough time for volunteering. So maybe I'll speak on that one. And I think that relates to some other questions as well. What I would encourage when getting involved with volunteer organizations and understanding if you have the time commitment is looking at the specific time commitment that the role says. If the organization doesn't put it out there, then contacting them to ask about it and making sure you actually look at realistically how that fits within your schedule. So lay out, for example, how many hours of class do you have a week? How many hours of assignments do you have a week? If you work, how many hours of work do you have a week? How many hours do you want to make sure that you have for relaxing or for seeing friends or that kind of doing sports or that kind of thing? And then, working out whether realistically it works for you. Another important thing is obviously you can do all of that and have enough time, but there's going to be busy periods. There's going to be exam season or things like that. And a way I'd say I've overcome those challenges in the past when I've been too busy for my volunteer commitments is just actively communicating that with the people I work with. And I've always found that people are really, really understanding when you tell them that you're not available for a period of time and tell them why. Yeah, and certainly the culture in ASIP is having teams who are able to be flexible in their commitments and flexible in picking up some work from another team member when they're particularly busy, and then maybe taking on some more work when your team members have other commitments as well. Yeah, so I guess like communication and then kind of your personal time management is really important to be able to overcome those challenges of things being overwhelming and piling up.
Just to add on Georgia. So Georgia part is more towards volunteering, how to handle with the organization. Now, maybe I could share when you work with other people, you already confirm or being assigned by the organization. Next step, you have to execute the one that you're being responsible of, or maybe the task being given to you. Hardest part is to convince people. That is, it's not about how actually you want to pitching, getting funds, but it's more or less like I'm talking about the one that your intention is to help to. Let's say you're going into this particular village or this community, your task or your assignment is to help them. Let's say Asian Australia already assigned, okay, go to this village and they have this kind of issue or problem. So this is how you want to solve that particular issue in that village. So your task is to go there and convince them that you actually can solve part of the issues or their community problems. But you're very young and you're talking not your age group. You're facing all these older people, maybe head of the village, maybe. So it's very hard because number one, they have no idea who you are, right? And you're so young, are you sure you can do this? This is a very huge problem over here, and you said you can solve this. So this is where the data play the role. Okay, your research study play a role, and how actually you want to present the possible output that going to, let's say the hypothesis, by the time you get solved this, and this is going to happen to this particular village, how you want to convince them. So you have to know, this is quite a long time for you to learn or experience the body language, the communication skill part, how you want to communicate with people. So especially with older people, you cannot like show off like you're really, really brilliant person. It's not like not good, but sometimes they felt like, oh, you know more than me. Yeah, your experience, yeah, and your age, yeah, that is on their mind, which is normal, especially in ASEAN. Sorry, I'm not sure in Australia, but in ASEAN, it is like that. So they were like, this is so young. You sure you can do this? So the gesture, you have to present the gesture, and you still have to have this part of respecting elder people. Yes, and the way you present it, it's like a child presenting to the parents, and this is the solution, your body language, your language itself, the way you dressed up. So you need to be at par, or maybe a little bit lower level, but you are trying to share the solution with them. So take quite some time for you to learn how to talk to people and to make sure people are confident with your suggestion. So the best thing is to study first about that particular person that you're going to meet. What is maybe their favorite things, or let's say the head of the village love football, maybe Manchester or Liverpool something. Talk about that for a while, and then only you can go through to solving their problem. So that is just a little bit, that is so challenging. But yeah, you need to sometimes to understand those people, and maybe those particular group of people that you're going to meet, learn a little bit about their background. So just a tips for you guys. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Bibi and Miss Georgia for answering. Like for Arfa, I guess like you have a lot of questions. Do you want to ask more questions?
Yeah, just a couple of more. I think I'll just select and then I'll ask that. Okay, so my next question, pretty much I think some of it was covered in this one, but like if you're ever confused with our next steps while we are involved in some activities that are sensitive as stated in today's slide, how do we approach forward if we have to stick to the same sensitive issue that we're speaking up as a youth? And like if you're confused, if you don't know the way out, if you're from your experience, you can just let us know a bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Miss Bibi or Miss Georgia can answer it first.
If you're confused, you just go with try and error. There's nothing wrong with that, because you need to experience it, or else you won't have the answer. So I couldn't say there's nothing wrong doing wrong, but because we have no idea whether it is wrong or not, whether it's right or wrong. So if you're confused, I guess you just need to know what is your goal. Just remember what is your goal. What is your focus, what you want to achieve. Yes, there will be confusion in the middle of the line, like myself. From architect became a youth worker. Sounds crazy, right? So it's not, I couldn't say, yes, it was such a fight within like how to say, to face my parents, which is so crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're good, well paid as architect. Yes. You know what, during my school days, my university, during my studies as student, even I'm working as architect, I'm still having position or volunteered myself to do community work. Yet, even though I'm working as professional. So I just changed my career. And for me, this is something professional too. Depending on, because like me, myself, my task, is not just, this is like more like sharing experience, like today, sharing what I have experienced. But throughout the way, I think I have learned a lot in my background before in architecture. Yes, at the same time, I'm still loving doing this. But at the end of the day, I said like, yes, my passion is, I chose my passion as my career. So I felt like that is what actually can make me happy and still could feed my family. You cannot just choose, but you have to remember you're responsible at the same time. You're not just going to do this because you just love, but you have to understand you have people to feed, or maybe you need to feed yourself. So make sure whatever that you choose, you actually can sustain yourself or anyone you are responsible to. So its decision is so important. Don't just go jump into whatever that you love without thinking of the risks, people around you, or maybe yourself, as long as it's not going to damage yourself. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. I think it's okay to make mistakes and to, take time to work out where you want to be. As well, again, through volunteering, you can make those really fantastic networks and meet people who you admire. And I think it's really powerful to spend time talking through things with them and yeah, just getting an external perspective when you think it's helpful can always help in some of those tough challenges.
Okay, thank you so much for answering the question, Ms. Bibi and Mr. Chia. But due to our limited time, Arfa, I think if you have more questions, you can directly ask to them by the social media that they already shared in the chat box. And now we'll move on to the next question from next persons. Okay, I think we'll looking for it in the chat box. Wait a minute. Wait, everyone. I have to scroll a lot actually. Okay. There is a question from Reza from the University of Muhammadiyah Malang. The question is like, as someone who is extremely passionate in volunteering, I have come upon a barrier challenge. In order to volunteer, you need previous experience, and in order to have experience, you need to volunteer. Based on your personal experience, how can I, as passionate youth, can escape these situations like the round situation? Okay, so for the speaker, did you get the questions? Okay, so who'd like to answer? Yeah, Mr. Ji, I think you can answer first.
Well, yeah, obviously it's a big challenge and it's a difficulty. I'd say a couple of things. So cast your net wide. So work out causes that you're passionate about and things that align with you, but you don't have to necessarily end up in one specific organization to pursue that passion. So say you look for an opportunity at a particular organization, but you're not successful in getting it. There are so many other organizations out there. Also, another big thing is if you go through a recruitment process, seeking feedback on your application can be really helpful. Another thing is be willing to kind of build up to where you want to be. So the same way in a professional career, if there's an organization that you really want to end up in, but you don't feel you quite have the skills at that point in time, but there's other organizations that work towards the same cause that you're passionate about, you can always go a different route and build your skills. Or you might end up in those organizations and realize actually that's really where you want to be as well. So I'd say just, keep trying different opportunities. I've certainly had a lot of rejection from opportunities in my time as well. So totally understand that it can be disheartening, but try to keep yourself focused on, your end goal, and seek feedback and just keep trying to work towards it.
Okay, I think Ms. Bibi can also answer the questions.
Yes, I'm trying to catch up with the question. There's a lot of question in the box.
Yep. Okay, could you find it, or I can read it again if you need. Okay, wait a minute. Let me find it again.
That is a lot of question today. Wow. You guys are very active.
So, okay, I can read the questions again once more. Like the question
Yeah,
is,
sure.
as someone who is extremely passionate in volunteering, the Reza, the one who asked the question, have come upon a very challenge, like you said. In order to volunteer, you need previous experience, and in order to have experience, you need to volunteer. So, how, based on your personal experience, how can I, as a passionate youth, can escape from these situations? How? Yeah.
Escape from the situation as volunteer. So are you passionate about it or what? So who's the one who asking the question? If you can, Reza, if you can like be here, that's better. Yes, Reza.
I'm so terribly sorry that my camera is off. I'm feeling extremely
I can
under the
hear
water.
you.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, practically the question is, just like job hunting in order to, to be in a volunteer, you need previous experience first. And in order to get experience, you need to, volunteer. So it's like, a whole catch-22 thing, like it's like very, very conflicted, how do you think we should resolve that, because it's like, it's like, conflicting with each other, Thanks so much, Miss Vivi.
Thank you. Just want to hear Reza because it was asking about experience. Because in order to have experience, you need to be volunteer. So for me, experience is just not volunteering. Experience is like everything, even the day from you're born, even in your classroom, even in your house, by walking, going to the market. Sorry, I'm sound like very auntie kind of type, like very old people kind of like examples over here. But you know what? Your experience is not the same as mine, or maybe the moderator and so on. So we don't have the same experience actually, because how actually you understand or you feel, we're not feeling the same. Let's say we're sitting in the same conference or we're doing the same volunteering activity. And right now we are busy cleaning up the beach for just example over here, cleaning up the beach. We are doing the same activity, but your feeling and my feeling is totally different. The way you look at the rubbish or the trash along the beach is different the way that I see the things. So all of us actually pick up different experience even today. This is actually depending on how you understand or you believe in yourself too, that you have this, you have learned this today. So when you talk about experience, even though you're not, to be a volunteer, you need to have experience. Actually, for your information, you are doing volunteer work every day. If you're at home currently, maybe you help out doing the laundry, doing dishes, that is volunteering. Is it volunteering or responsibility? House chores? I'm not sure, because you're the one who chose it, whether you're going to say that is my responsibility or that I'm volunteering helping out my mom doing the dishes. So it depends on you actually, whether you choose to, that particular experience is part of your responsibility or part of your task, or that is your contribution doing volunteering, even in your own house. So how should I say, based on my experience, the situation, well, there's tons of challenges and situations. For me, as long as you know what you want to achieve, you will try your best to get the solution to achieve that particular thing. So the solution will come from you, yourself. You know how to do it. You don't have to worry. By the time you're there, you're over there and you are facing the challenge, automatically your mind will start thinking and keep on thinking on how to get this thing solved. There's always a way, whether a hard way, easier way, or to get more people to collaborate with you. So you don't have to worry about that. And you don't have to, as I mentioned just now, don't worry about making mistakes. As long as you take it as whatever mistakes that happen, you will learn from the mistakes, and you take it as make sure it's like part of your I cannot say it's guideline, so you're not going to repeat it again. It's a learned lesson, so lesson learned, and you will never do that. It's like reminder, whatever that you're going to do forward is a reminder. If I do this, I know this thing will happen. If you already experience it, unless you haven't experienced it, you will just do it. Then only you know, oh, we cannot do this, let's change. Just make sure you have to get ready with plan B. Whatever you do, just make sure you have 2-3 ideas at the same time to get that solved. Not just one. Unless you only have one, then just do it. Don't worry, just do it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Bibi and Miss Georgia, for answering the questions. Now we are moving to the next questions, as we still have 10 minutes for the Q&A session, and I see that the participants are very active and they want to learn so much. So we'll utilize these 10 minutes. Okay, now I would like to give the floor to the Felista from UNTAR. You can ask your question directly to the speakers. Are you here with us?
Yes, okay. So thank you for the opportunity. My name is Felista from Tarumanagara University. And first of all, I'd like to say sorry that I cannot open the camera due to my poor connection. But I have 2 questions. So the first one is, what steps have been taken to ensure that the voices of youth in ASEAN are heard and represented in the implementation and monitoring of the partnership's goals and objectives? And for the second one is, in what ways does the partnership support youth-led initiatives and projects that address the needs and aspirations of young people in ASEAN countries? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for asking the question, Felista. I would like to give the floor first to Miss Georgia and then Miss Bibi to answer the questions.
To be honest, I think this question is probably best suited to Miss Vivi's background, if that's okay. So I'll leave that for you to answer.
Yeah, we're talking about how actually the participation been going on, especially the one for formal activities or formal initiative that being done. How actually we get those the young people in ASEAN to participate is, if you want to know how, or you want to be part of it, number one, you have, currently in ASEAN Foundation, they do have offers, because some of the input we pick up from the ASEAN Foundation. Yes, they do have current activities going on. Maybe you can go to the ASEAN Foundation website, because how actually we offers depends. Some of the countries chose directly their youth through the ministry. Some of the activities we open, so the registration are open, first come first serve basis. And some of the activities we have specific people, maybe some young professional to involve with this. So depending on what kind of initiative or activities that's been done, so we do have specific people that involve. There are some open, there are some, I cannot say restricted, but we have specific criteria of people that should be part of that particular workshop or conference maybe. All other information, yes, they do open, but usually not direct in the ASEAN Secretariat website or something, maybe through our website, the CEYC website, maybe through the ministry, your ministry, So, or maybe through other platforms that we offer. So for that is for the open programs, which is open. You can go through all this. There are specific programs that is actually led by the ASEAN Secretariat, and the participant are specific invited youth through each member state. So as I can say, the opportunities is different. So I hope you understand the situation. So yeah, is that answer or is that okay with the answer? I'm not sure. Unta?
Yeah, it's okay. I do get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then I think we can move on to the next questions. I saw someone also raising the hand. It start with PG or something. We still have 4 minutes. But the rain is okay. PG. I forget the name. Wait. PG Andi Prasetya. Yeah. So you can ask away your questions.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Andi Prasetya from Gresik, Indonesia. I have some question for Ms. Bibi and Ms. Georgia. As Mr. Bibi said before that you're from architecture, and I see from Ms. Georgia LinkedIn profile that you're graduated from international relation. For both of you, is the scientific background or degree or major that pursued by young people is an important thing instead to enter an international level organization? If true, are there some tips and tricks that you can give to that the scientific organization or degree or major can help the organization that are want to join, or know that our skills or young people's skills are what they need our want, and how to make the organization interested in our skills that we have. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Andy, for the question. So I would like to give to the Miss Georgia and then Miss Bibi to answer the questions.
Yeah, sure. So my background is in international relations, as you said, which is obviously quite closely aligned with ASIP's work as a youth diplomacy org. But in terms of the backgrounds of our volunteers, they come from hugely diverse degrees. So we have people from international relations, we have people from engineering, people from maths degrees, people from health degrees, really across the whole spectrum of university degrees. And I think something is realizing that you bring unique value as someone in a diverse degree and someone who might not be in that traditional pathway. And I think in terms of, in terms of highlighting that to organizations is, making sure you explain what your unique value add is as someone from that degree. So maybe if you come from a maths background, do you have really advanced analytical skills? Or, I mean, I don't come from a maths background, so I don't know what the specific thing you would say is, but, making sure that you make clear to the organization what your value add is as someone who brings a diverse background. And, hopefully organizations understand that already, but making it really clear to them is a good way, to increase your chances.
Okay. Yeah, I think Ms. Bibi can answer the questions.
I do agree with Georgia. I guess Georgia has stated most of it, like all of it. Yeah, because you need to share what is the best of you, and especially why are you so important to us? You need to showcase that. Why do we need you? Why you need to be part of us? So if you can share that part, or maybe particularly in if you're seeking for funds or wanted to collaborate, this is so important to highlight the importance of this collaboration. And why is it like us to be part in your activity, or maybe you yourself want to be part of us as a member or to work together. You have to make it like very, very clear. But the best is if you can align with our focus, our objective, it's easy for us to accept that because we have the same objective. So the tips will be pick up, what are the organization or maybe that particular initiative, what are the focus, the objective. You can highlight and align with that, might be easy or helpful for you to achieve on your project.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Bibi and Miss Georgia, for answering the question from Andy. Thank you so much, Andy, for asking the questions. So as we don't have more time for the Q&A, so we will stop it here. So thank you so much to all the participants who have actively participated in the Q&A sessions. But due to the limited time, I apologize for some unanswered questions. So for those, the question who have not been answered, you can directly ask to the speakers from the links and contact that they have shared in the chat box. So I would like to thank our amazing speaker for the insightful presentation and the Q&A session. We definitely learned a lot from your answers. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today and for your active participation throughout this webinar. It was truly a pleasure moderating this event. As we come to the end of the session, I would like to hand over the virtual stage to our MC, Diandra, who will be leading us through the closing remarks and concluding the event. So thank you, Dinda, and I will pass the floor to you now. Thank you, everyone.
Delightful. Thank you, Ms. Hamamor. Once again, let's give a big applause to our amazing speakers for the insights. Now, it is my turn to announce that we will be presenting certificates to our esteemed speakers who have shared their knowledge and expertise with us today. On behalf of our organizing committee, we present you this e-certificate as a token of our appreciation for your dedication and contribution to this event. So first, I may request Ms. Bibi Zulkifli to receive the certificate. Following that, we'll invite Mr. Ciptadi Akbar, Ms. Livia, and Mr. Albert to join the stage. For the IT team, please help us to share the screen, the certificate, and capture the screen. You may spotlight Ms. Bibi, Mr. Ciptadi Akbar, Ms. Livia, and Mr. Albert, please.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it has been documented. Maybe I will count down 3, 2, 1. Give your big smile. And once again, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bibi. And the next one, I will invite Ms. Georgia to receive the certificate. And again, for IT team, you may spotlight Ms. Georgia and please capture the screen. I will count down from now. 3, 2, 1. Okay, once again, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Georgia.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and now I will like to continue to the next session. As the certificate has been given, we'd like to thank you for your informative and engaging presentation today. We hope that you had a great time sharing your insights with us, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Great, as we come to the end of this wonderful event, we would like to welcome Ms. Livia to give the closing speech. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Diandra. I want to make sure first, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Miss.
Okay, thank you. Greetings, everyone. My apology for the previous technical difficulties during the opening speech, which makes me unable to welcome all of you beforehand. However, it is better late than never. My name is Levia. As the project leader of ROYA 2023, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome and to see every single one of you in our event. I'm truly happy to see the dynamic of this meeting. I believe everyone here had an insightful moment of learning about the link of Asian and youth, as well as the opportunities that we can further utilize for growth, whether it is for our personal development or for our bigger surroundings. I would like to express my gratitude to our speakers, Ms. Bibi and Ms. Georgia, for the knowledge that both of you have shared to us, and we hope that all of this will motivate all of the participants to be active, initiative, and to have courage in procuring the opportunities out there, or even we can create new innovative opportunities for ourselves and for other people to make real impact as part of the change maker generation. I would also like to give a sincere thank you for all of the committee involved here, because this event would never exist in the first place if it was not because each of yours commitment. We hope our event here leaves a good memory for all the participants, and we can continuously try to inspire each other to start taking action, to experience, and to be brave by simply trying in the midst of the potential trial and error that might occur. We hope everyone here will continue to have the courage and to see challenges as a stepping stone compared as a factor that could possibly hinder us from developing. Thank you once again for everyone's enthusiasm and active participation. I'm truly looking forward to see all the positive vibes here to bloom and flourish in your future and the first after ROYA 2023. That's it from me. Thank you so much, Diandra. I'll give the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Lipia. And I also want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. It has been an honor to be here as your Master of Ceremony. I'm glad that I can join the discussion on youth empowerment with you all. It has broadened my insight on youth role, such as volunteerism in education, partnership, and moreover. We hope that you enjoyed the series of events that we've presented to you today. Having said that, we would like to extend a special thanks to our partners for their generous support. But before we wrap up this event, I have two important announcements to make. The first one, you need to fill the attendance link that is in the comment section as a requirement to get the e-certificate for this first day. And the second one, for those who have received the email, we'll be having a focus group discussion session tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. You can find the invitation and team allocation in the email you've received. Now, may I ask the IT team to help in sharing the screen of the team allocation, please? Okay, here we can see on the screen, we have 7 focus group discussion that consists of 105 selected participants from 15 countries. We have sent the file through email, and all facilitators have invited the respective members to each WhatsApp group. Just a heads up that our study case will discuss about the major obstacles of youth to participate in international opportunities and the solutions that you can propose. Finally, I want to remind everyone to stay safe and healthy. We hope to see you again soon at tomorrow's event. Thank you once again and have a great day.
Thank you all.